Welcome to the Perspectives with Catherine Toon podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives with Catherine Toon. And I have a new and budding buddy on. And I'm so excited to introduce, if you don't know her yet, Rachael Cannon. Welcome.
Hello, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah. So I have been, I was kind of relatively recently introduced to you, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to have her on. Like, what you carry, you're an author, you've done so many different things, and just the brightness of your being that speaks of an incredible journey that you've been on and are still on. And I thought, dang. So I'm just so glad you're here. I thought I'd read your bio really quick. So for those of you who may not know Rachael. So let's see here. Whoops, I got the wrong thing. So I'm glad we don't have to do. Okay. So Dr. Rachael Cannon is from Santa Rosa, Florida. She's the author of Deep Drink, The Year I Learned to Fly. Oh my God, I just love that. Lambs and Lilies, The Heart of the Lily, and the Agape Trilogy. Rachael's the founder of Greenhouse Lilies, a nonprofit jail and prison charity. And then I'm going to read just a little bit of your story, and then I'm going to ask you to elaborate a little bit, if that's okay. So you said, I was raised in church and attended Christian school, but confusion about my identity led me to drugs, alcohol, and bad relationships. After multiple arrests and failed rehab attempts, a faith-based rehab in 2016 changed my life through an amazing experience with God. And the church said, amen. 6 months into rehab, I began preaching in prisons and jails, even ministering in the cells where I was once incarcerated. I earned a master's degree in biblical counseling and a PhD in theology. Of course you did. Turning my dissertation into the book, Drink Deep, the story of the woman at the well. My journey led me to explore the deeper meaning of our relationship with God, inspired by the Mirror Study Bible, Baxter Kruger, and William Paul Young. Wow, yes. We are all fans.
Thanks, guys.
I now teach the love class in 4 county jails in Florida, in the Florida Panhandle, and have written devotionals on love, innocence restored, likeness redeemed, and our union with God. Oh my God, I'm just so happy just even reading that. Wow, Rachael. Wow. So what a story. And, you know, I feel like people, I mean, that's just a wonderful 30,000 foot view, but there's probably some tidbits you could flesh out a little bit with your story that are going to help some people. Would you mind sharing some more?
I would love to. And I thank you so much, really. I thank you. And I too feel like this is a budding friendship. I think very highly of you, Catherine. And to be considered one of your friends, I feel very honored. And you make me feel great.
Yay. Well, that's just how it's supposed to be. But
Yeah.
I feel the same way. So this is just great.
Yeah.
So love it.
Yes. So I was raised in church. You know, my father is still a pastor down here on the Emerald Coast in Destin, Florida. He is at Destin Methodist. So I was raised in church, went to Christian school my whole life, went to Christian Bible college. Honestly, got kicked out of Christian Bible college, you know, and I was really searching for my identity. I think all of it kind of came from a skewed or a distorted view of who God was, which led me to a distorted view of who I am, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You
Totally
know?
get it.
And so, yeah, so I feel like I just kind of went off the rails a little bit. I just kind of gave up on my relationship with God. Thank goodness he didn't give up on me. You know, he was inside of me the whole time I was going through what I was going through. I went through some really dark places in my life as a drug addict for 25 years. And then, man, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, to come back from
Okay.
that side, it's like I lived a whole nother life, really. But to come
Okay.
back from that side of life to me is a miracle.
Yes.
And I
Beautiful.
realized the miracle of what God has done in my life. But yeah, when I was about 40 years old, after going to jail about 8 different times,
Wow.
incarcerated, my dad's a pastor. I'm used to
Wow.
sitting on the front row and I'm in jail,
Yeah.
and he's telling
Hmm.
everybody, I've got dollar who's on drugs, I'm in jail. And I was just so lost,
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I remember being very angry at God. I was so mad, I'm like, where is the God? And when I was in kindergarten that I prayed for salvation, where is this
Yeah.
God? You
Yeah.
have let me down. You have failed me in my darkest hour. And I was so angry. I would just lay in bed at night and literally cuss God out. I would just say, F you. Where are you? I was mad,
Oh, wow. I can relate.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep going. Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. And like years later, I was talking to Patrick Emery from the Mirror Bible study group, and I was telling him how I used to cuss God out. And he said, actually, that was faith. You were actually
Right.
believing in God.
Exactly. You don't cuss out someone who doesn't exist, right?
So I mean,
Yeah.
it just blows me away. My old way of thinking compared to now, it was
Yeah.
just so freeing. And
Mm,
ah, so I was pretty angry, and
yeah.
I've gone to rehab about 4 different times, all
Yeah.
faith based. Gotten kicked out of every one of them.
Yeah.
None of them worked for me.
Yeah.
And then the last time that I went, which was literally almost 10 years ago, it I was done. I just said, man, I'm just so done with this life. I just want to be off drugs. If I could just get off drugs and maybe get a car and get an apartment, I would just be doing better, with my life. And little did I know that God would really come in and not only deliver me from addiction, but change my whole life. And it
Wow.
all started with an encounter. This discipleship home was a little bit different from the other ones that I had been to. It wasn't as religious. This woman really believed in God encounters,
Yeah.
She called it love encounters. And she would say, if you just had one encounter with love, with God Himself, you would be radically changed, And so she just made ample space for that.
Love
Yeah.
it.
The
That's
love
so good.
encounters, man. That's
Right.
what it really is all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she made a lot of room for that. So in the mornings, like we would get up in the mornings and get our coffee. And before we even did like our devotions or anything, all the girls would just get a little blanket and put it down on the ground
Oh,
or on the floor of the living room. And then she would turn on some praise and worship music for
yeah.
like 30 minutes. And nobody would really say anything. Nobody was
Yeah.
praying or singing anything, but we would wait for like the Holy
Wow.
Spirit to just begin to touch every single woman. And man,
Wow.
it was like nothing I'd ever
Powerful.
experienced in
Yeah.
my life.
Mhm.
Like there were only 6 or 7 ladies in this house to begin with. And so a lot of mornings you could hear ladies just start crying or
Yeah.
just
Right.
sobbing
Right.
as
Wow.
the Lord would just come in and just heal like all
Yeah.
these deep, deep wounds. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about little word wounds, which
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
deep as well, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about deep,
Deep, deep.
painful separation places
Right.
in
Right.
their past, including
Yeah.
my own, and
Yeah.
I will
Wow.
never forget. I had probably been at this house for maybe 60 days, and we were doing worship, and um, I just had this wonderful encounter with the Lord where I saw God as my father. I was a little baby, and He leaned down and He kissed me on the forehead, and He kissed me on the nose, and He kissed me right on the lips. And when I looked back in His face, like the love that I felt radiating toward me changed my life.
Wow.
It was like it filled me,
It heals.
and
Mhm.
then He spoke to me and He said, you don't kiss other people's babies on the lips. You are mine. And that changed my
So
life. It
good.
literally did. And I feel like I relive that encounter on a daily basis. You
Mm.
know, what happened at the women's home was this lady and the Lord really began to heal my mind. My
Yeah.
mind had been so messed up from being raised, with a distorted view of God, which led to a distorted view of myself.
Mm.
And then all the religious programming and programming of the world that had come
Yeah.
in. And what happened was I got a radical change of perception. I got a new
Wow.
view. My
Wow.
view completely changed. And I tell ladies, now, even as I go into the jails, I tell them, you need to get out of your city. You need a brand new view. You've got to have
Yeah.
some different
Yeah.
people in your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
because if the same
Exactly.
people are telling you who you are over and over again,
Right.
guess what? You're going
Exactly.
to keep believing that. You need to have other people in your life who are going to remind you of who you truly are, and
Yeah.
not what you think you are or what you've done.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It
Mm.
is. It's
Wow.
that's really the truth of it. We have to have a different view of ourselves, a different view of
Mhm.
God. And like today, I'm going to go in and talk about the movie Groundhog Day, because I just feel like
Yeah.
sometimes we just get stuck in a
Right.
loop.
Yeah. Ooh.
And
Yeah.
these,
Exactly.
yeah, we're
Oh
in
my
the
God.
loop, man. We're in the cycles, and all it takes, is just a little bit of the picture of, whoa, you mean to tell me I could do something different? You mean to
Mhm.
tell me I
Mhm.
could be something different?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I went to the rehab probably 6 months into my new life change. My mind was still being renewed, my
Mhm.
spirit was being restored, rebooted to original
Yeah.
identity. And about 6 months in, the lady who ran the rehab, she was like, well, I met this guy in Texas and we're going to get married. And she said, Rachel, I need somebody to take over my prison ministry in the Florida corrections division.
Wow.
And so she said, why don't you apply for your PIN number? And I said, I called her mama. I said, well, mama, I can't do that because I have a felony pending in Birmingham, Alabama. And she said, God don't care about that.
I love it.
He said,
I
you're
love
supposed to
it.
be in the
So,
prisons. You're
yeah.
supposed to be in the jails.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I applied, and sure enough, my background check came back clean. And I started going into the Florida Women's Reception Center and Lowell Correctional. And I was preaching the gospel every other Sunday, leading the whole service, doing praise and worship, doing altar time. And man, I saw tons of miracles. I didn't even know what I was
I bet you
doing.
did. I know.
I was
My
just a
God
girl
did.
set on
He was like,
fire, man.
"Awesome." Right, exactly. I'm showing up and it's happening.
Yeah, I was
It's
just a
so
girl
great.
set on fire by love, and I was hearing from the Lord, and I was having a blast. And I haven't stopped going to jail since. The Lord has opened up the door for me to go back into the very places that I did time in, that I was incarcerated in. And I remember, like, a couple of the first times that I would go into the same place where I was. Some of the girls, they have a choice if they want to come to church. It's not forced on anyone in there.
Right,
It's a
right.
choice. And so some of the ladies, all the church ladies would come in and we're like, we're doing Bible study. And some of the ladies would come out, and then I would say, who sleeps in that bunk bed over there? And a girl would say, me. And I'd say, oh, that's my bed. That is my bunk bed. And some of the ladies would say, oh, so that's what's up. And they would come down and they would come to church. They would listen to me because I was one of them.
Right. Oh, so good. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You've been doing this now, at some point you decided to get some real heavy duty, theological training. So tell
Yeah.
us about how that evolved.
Yeah, well, I always studied the Bible, like even when I was high, sometimes, like when I
That's
was drug
good.
addict and
Yeah.
drunk, I was searching for God. I wanted to
Wow.
know the real God. And I remember, getting my Bible out and trying to study while I was high. I always loved the Bible, but I wanted to know more about why I believed what I believed, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I ended up going to Covenant Bible College, and I pursued my master's degree in biblical counseling. And then I
Mhm.
thought, well, I think I want to go ahead and do my master's also. And so I did. I mean, I want to go ahead and do my doctorate also. So I
Mhm,
went ahead and
mhm.
got my PhD in theology. And man, I love the Bible so much. I ended up having to write a 150-page dissertation, for my
Mhm. Yeah,
PhD.
yeah.
And I did the whole thing on the woman at the well. And
So
honestly, I went through verse by verse and just studied it for 2 years and was in the story. I wanted to know the geographical history. I wanted to know why the division between the Jews and Samaritans. And I wanted to know everything about the story. And so
mhm,
I went through, researched the whole thing, and then I would just sit there at the well with the Lord and
mhm,
she's called Fotini. We know that that is her name now. She is
mhm.
called the Enlightened One. Her name,
Oh,
Fotini, photo means light.
right.
And
Wow.
so supposedly, like if you were to Google the woman at the well on Wikipedia, her name comes up as Saint Fotini, and
Wow.
she is called the Enlightened One. And supposedly, she's called the Enlightened One because she emitted light. Like she radiated. And clearly, there had to be, a distinct difference for
Right.
her, for the townspeople to actually, listen to her and believe her. There had to
Right.
be a distinct difference. So why not glow?
Right. Hot dog. I love it. Wow, I love it. I
Yeah.
have never heard of that. Oh my goodness, I'm loving it. Well, and you think about it because I mean, they wouldn't even like, I'm not getting water when you're getting water, right? You know what I mean? Or, right? I mean, it's like to go from that to really being the first evangelist, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the Messiah to her people and really to the what was considered the Gentiles. And dang, something happened. Some
Yeah.
honking thing happened. So
It,
glowing works.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
story, I mean, her encounter with the Lord is the longest, recorded conversation in the Bible that Jesus
yeah,
has.
yeah,
And it's with this woman. And he
right.
actually gave her the gospel.
Yeah.
He really did. If you go back and look at it, especially in the Mirror Bible, where it's kind of translated or paraphrased, elaborated on a little bit more, as
Mhm.
Francois does so eloquently.
Oh, he's amazing.
I mean, he gives her the message because he says, she's like, well, where do we worship then, Jesus? Do we
Right,
go to
right,
Jerusalem or do we worship here on Mount Gerizim? And
right, right,
Samaria, where should I go? Tell me.
right.
And I think she's still being a little snarky with him, but she really wants to
Yeah.
know.
Right.
She
Exactly.
really wants to know.
Exactly. Yep.
And so he tells her, look, the end of the era is here. The future has
Wow.
arrived. It's
Right,
me.
right.
And if when you
I'm here.
acknowledge your genesis in
Mhm.
me, this is all I am wanting. I am not looking for
Wow.
worshipers in a building. I'm looking for worshipers, for the
Mm. Wow.
worshipers.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
So man, it is.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It's a picture of inclusion,
Yeah.
and
It
the
sure is.
well is where we get our first worldview of inclusion of the gospel, what Jesus Christ has done for the entire human race. They
Mhm.
call him the savior of the world. I'm like,
Dang.
whoa,
Yes.
man, whoa,
It's so good.
whoa. And it's these
Wow.
rejects.
You're right.
They're
Yeah.
castaways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
he comes to the people who the Jews have rejected. He
Mhm.
comes to say, I'm yours too, and you're mine too.
Yeah. Wow.
So I love
Kissing
it.
them
I
on the
love it.
lips. Kissing them on the
Yeah.
lips, right? The
Yeah.
forehead and
Kiss
everything.
them on the lips. Yep.
'Cause
You're
you're
mine.
mine.
Wow.
So good. Wow. 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 So this was your dissertation, and then you turned that into a book. So this is when you really started writing as a craft? Is that
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I wrote that. And then, after I wrote that, I had I had another experience that happened at my old church where I got released from my old church. I
Wow.
honestly, the conversation with Fotini, it just got me thinking so much. I started thinking, why are we doing the same thing over and over again, expecting these
Yeah.
different results? It
Yeah.
is the very definition of insanity. Has Christ not come as the savior of the world? What are we
Right.
doing? And I started wondering what we were doing in church every Sunday. And
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
ask those kind of questions to your pastors, they
Mm-hmm.
tend, like, especially if they're not open for a conversation,
Right.
they
They
were
get
like,
defensive.
whoa, this girl, we think she's being rebellious.
Right. Right. Let's pass that thing out
You
of
know?
her. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
So they weren't open to the
Mhm.
conversation. Now I
Mhm.
look back in hindsight, it was so painful, but I look back in hindsight and say, wow, thank you so much for what you guys did for me. I learned
Yeah.
so much along the way, and thank you for setting me free. They
Yeah.
in the way that they did it, they called me in for for a meeting, and they said, "We release you, Rachel." And at that time it was so painful, but now I think I got released,
So it
baby.
wasn't really a release. It was like, we are casting you out of the synagogue. We're
I got the
right.
left hand of fellowship.
Yep, that's a thing. Yes, you sure did. You sure did. And don't come
I did.
back. Yeah.
Yep.
And then God transformed it into a release from the spirit of religion, right? From that whole
That's right.
system that
That's right.
separates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing about religion is there's no exploration,
Hmm.
and I feel like in this, when we're in the relationship, there's always more to discover, explore, and enjoy. But
Yes.
in the religion, everything is tight. It's
Yeah.
have you gone to systematic theology? Because if you have, then you already know what we believe, and there should be all the answers for your
Right.
questions.
Right. Right. And
And
it starves the soul,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
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 So I'm thankful for the release. I'm thankful for everything that happened to me after the release. I was heartbroken. I lost a lot of
Yeah.
friends, I felt like, in one day. And I really lost my religion in one day.
Yeah. 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 Wow. I mean, it is excruciatingly painful. It's not like, wow, freedom,
Oh, man.
right? It took a
Right.
while. It
Oh,
just
man. It
rejection,
was.
rejection. Yeah.
Phew, the rejection was so
Mhm.
painful. And then the confusion, a lot of the confusion, obviously, I wouldn't say that it was so much self-induced, but the way that I thought,
Mhm.
I say now, I look back in hindsight and I say, that I wasn't fighting the devil. I was actually fighting my own mind,
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
own
Mhm.
programming, my own accusatory thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say, the biggest enemy that I ever fought was my own old mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
there were a lot of sleepless nights where I was just going through agony, just because my programming was letting me down and I was mad about it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
warfare wasn't working anymore. All the spiritual tactics that I had learned for breakthrough over,
Mhm.
this happened like 4 years ago. So over 6 years, all of the hardcore shaka baka, get down on your face and beg and oh,
Right.
I need to fast, go on a liquid fast and starve myself and get the root of whatever it is that's tormenting me,
Wow.
get to the root of
Wow.
it. And
Wow.
so it was probably like that for a good 3 or 4 months where I was just in
Mhm.
constant warfare, constant agony. And man, it was so painful. And
Wow.
one thing that happened was, my old pastor had actually come out publicly and banned the Mirror Bible. He said, "Oh, here's some people not to listen to. Here's some people not to follow," and he threw a lot of people under the bus. And I
Oh,
had a hard time with that. I didn't even know
yeah.
the people he was talking about, but for
Right.
him to do that publicly, I just thought,
Yeah.
"Whoa, this is
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
walking a tightrope
Yeah.
here."
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah, but what happened was he actually evangelized me by doing that.
So funny. Oh my God.
The
Oh my
the
God. Ew,
persecution
I
that
gotta
he
check
was
that
trying
out.
to put on these people actually promoted this to me, because
Yeah.
when I was in a dark spot, I felt the Lord say, "You should really check into this Mirror Bible thing." And so I bought it under the cover of night, like
Yes.
Nicodemus,
Yeah.
under the
Yeah.
cover of the law. I went and bought the Mirror Bible,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man, I hope I don't get in trouble for buying this." But when I did, all I could do was sit on my couch and weep for 6 months. I read it and
Wow.
laughed and cried and got so much healing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was like everything started making sense to me. I had never heard the real gospel before. I had heard the
Right?
mixture, the do it yourself
Right.
version of everything. No wonder nothing. I was under so much warfare. I was trying
Yeah.
so hard to do it myself.
Wow. 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 And that's such a like yeah, that striving, that do. It's just never enough. It's just like freaking get
Yeah.
off the hamster wheel,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That
so,
is
I mean, during that time, like, for 6 months, I everything in my mind changed. It was like, "Whoa," and honestly, I could see the stark difference between what I'd been trying to do and what was real.
right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything started making sense. I could see clearly. It was like the blinders came off, and what I could see was mind blowing to me. I'm like, how come nobody's ever told me this before? And then I went through a stage where I was super mad.
Because no one ever told you this before.
I was like, man, I
I'm
was so mad
pissed.
about it. I'm like, what
I'm
have all these
pissed.
people been teaching me?
Right. Wow.
Yeah,
I think a
yeah,
lot of people can relate. Yeah.
yeah,
To the piss
yeah,
factor. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
And then
And one
how
of my
did you
friends
start to oh, sorry, go ahead.
One
Go
of my
ahead. What
friends
did I
on the
say?
Mirror Bible, her name's Joy, and she said, once you've experienced the lies, then it makes the truth so much sweeter.
Boy, that's true. It's
Yeah.
going from darkness to light, death to
Yeah.
life. Yeah. It's so,
Wow.
so true.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've been there, and you think, God, why couldn't I have gotten this when I was 4? You know what I mean? Right?
Right, right.
And just bypassed,
Yeah.
but the happy thing is you got it. But then
Right.
also coming from these places of incredible darkness, just from circumstance, from bad choices, from yada yada. And then coming into it, it's like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
it's amazing when you're able to walk out of these hell holes, and it's not in, Song of Solomon talks about leaning on your lover, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
well, I figured it out, I mapped out my course and I just trekked it out. No, there is no getting, no, right? You're going to have to lean on the one who loved you and gave himself up for you,
Yeah.
and to come. But when that comes out, it's such life, and just that you feed. Like, I can just see you feeding, because it's out of
Yeah.
this experienced reality of literally
Right.
coming out of systems, including, I mean, not just the crappy but the religion, which is like, just, it's death, right? And so
Yeah.
all of that. So wow, I'm sorry, I don't mean to just keep on going. This
No.
is so good. But yeah. So you got into the pistis stage. Um,
Yes. Oh, yes. And
yeah.
I was pretty mad about it.
Yeah.
But then I realized this truth is so amazing and it's
Mhm.
so beautiful. I mean, it's hard to actually stay mad, you know?
I'm trying to stay mad, but it's not working.
Right. Right.
Can I
Yep.
hold on to my mad for just a little longer? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. During the time I discovered the mirror, I really had about 6 months. I wasn't working that much. I wasn't going to jail quite as often. Because I had joined the staff at the church that I was going to, they had actually talked me into stopping going to jail. I was only going like one time a month. They told me that I needed to put my jail ministry on the back burner and put all my eggs in their basket, and I just did. And
Right.
so I had a lot, the Lord really set me up. I had a lot of
Mhm.
space
Mhm.
to just like submerge into this message.
Yeah.
And at first, I unfollowed like all of the mainstream Christian media stuff that I had been following. And I got a hold of Baxter Kruger and then William Paul Young. Man, I watched all like the Shack Revisited videos, and I was just like, I can't believe that this message is hidden in plain sight right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their understanding of the gospel really fascinated me. And then, how it was all based on love. It was God's love for us. Whereas the way that I was raised, it was based on judgment.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm a lover. I've always been like just this little lover. And so it wasn't like duty or soaking anymore. I stopped soaking. I quit fasting, and I just quit listening to every other voice. I
Mm-hmm.
did. I stopped listening to podcasts. I couldn't listen to
Mm-hmm.
messages anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the Lord was telling me, go take a long walk.
Oh, that's
Enjoy your surroundings, Rachel.
right.
Enjoy your family. I had people in my life who were telling me, you need to get to the root of why you're getting kicked out. You have a history of getting kicked out of Christian places.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
They were
Wow.
like, you really need to
Kind of
search
like,
yourself and get to the
yes.
root of this.
Mm,
And when I got to the root, what I discovered was that I am superbly loved by my father,
mm,
and that if no one else ever wanted me, he
yeah.
always has and always did and always will.
Preach
And
it.
when he told me that one night, it healed. I could see this root of rejection or whatever it was, whatever term you want to
Mm,
call it,
yep.
but I could
Yep.
see like a domino effect when the Lord said, he said, if they don't want you, I do, darling. And when he said that to me, it healed my whole timeline of rejection all the way
Mm,
back. I could see it like a domino effect,
yeah.
just going back and then going forward.
Yeah.
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 And I felt safe for the first time. And man, it's amazing what love can do for you if you're heartbroken or if you need healing in your mind or body. Because I feel like when love creates the safe place for us to be ourselves, and then the healing comes in.
Exactly. Just and the healing comes in, it's interesting as a byproduct. It's not the
Yeah.
thing. It's a byproduct of the fact of he's smitten with us.
Yeah.
He's just smitten with us, and this heals. It heals our shame-based identities, our all of the things that we were told. And sometimes these things, I do a lot of coaching, so sometimes these things enter like even in utero, these things that happen, and just how it, and you're right, it just dominates a cat. These things fall down like a stack, like a house of cards that were
Wow.
constructed with anything that is not the truth of who you are, and how utterly adored you are. And the religious spirit hates that, because it's all about working to be. And no, you
Yeah.
start out from being, and then stuff happens in the overflow. Like when you're describing how you kind of minister, you're like, I'm just loved, and I'm showing up, and stuff happens. Right? And I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Right? And it's glorious. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
started writing more books as well. I'm sorry, you had this period of I'm not doing a whole lot except
Yeah.
just really
Oh, yeah.
marinating and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marinating in it. In fact, like my old pastors would call me and say, hey, how are you doing? What are you doing for the Lord? Tell me all about it. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not. And I'd say, I'm not doing
I'm
nothing.
I'm
And
letting
to
him love
say,
me.
and
I'm
like to
letting him love
say
me.
that to, people who are still like all about, oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and this for the Lord. Tell me what you're doing for the Lord. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. And I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge.
Yeah,
That is
it
huge.
was huge to let go, to let go. And the whole time, that I'm reading the Mirror Bible and reading some other books, I am journaling the whole time. I'm a big journaler. I've journaled for years, and I honestly never thought that I would write another book after Drink Deep.
Hmm.
I felt like I didn't know what was going on with me. I just knew that I was really happy, and
What's wrong? I am so happy. What's going on?
I just felt super free and very happy,
Yes,
And
so good.
so one morning I was just, sitting there journaling, and I just heard the Lord, and he said, "Let's write a book." And I was like, "Me, Lord? You want to write a book?" And he said, "Yeah, just go back through your journals and just see what you got. Let's see what you got." And so I started writing it out, and like this thing basically wrote itself. My second book, The Year I Learned to Fly, it pretty much wrote itself. I didn't know what I was doing. I had self published my first book, but it was like a different kind of a book. We're
Mhm.
talking theology.
Right, right, right.
And this one is way more poetry and relational. I would say it's deeply relational. I feel like
Mm,
it's transcendent. I feel like a lot of it is spirit dimension reality. And so I wrote it, and I went to tell my friends about it and go have lunch with them. I'm like, "Hey, I wrote this book," and they're like, they were asking me all kind of questions about it. And they said, "Oh, you can't write something like that." And I said, "Well, it's too late. I already have,
yeah,
it's
out of
too
that
late. I
happened.
already have." And
Yeah.
I realized that because I had my own belief now. I wasn't
Mhm.
dependent on their approval. Because I was living from my father's approval,
Mhm.
theirs didn't matter to me anymore,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Wow,
know?
that's so good. It's amazing how
Yeah.
all that stuff, it just falls off.
Boy, it
It
really
just
does.
falls off. And when you think
Like, it
about
it
how
really does.
Jesus walked, he was constantly, right? And he just,
Yeah,
right? And wow, so good, so good. I mean, it just
yeah.
constantly accused and all of that and misunderstood, and everyone around him were as dumb as rocks and things. They just not seeing
Yeah.
it. And I'm operating from my father's approval.
Yeah.
Even the places, I always get amused when he like, "Yeah, I'm not going to go heal Lazarus." And you think, bad Jesus, right? I'm only doing what I see
Yeah.
my father doing, right?
Yeah.
And just all of that. And wow, that's so, but it's so freeing because you're no longer tethered um,
Right.
by anything but God's affection,
Yeah.
rooted and grounded in love, right?
That's it. That's it right there. And when you're free like that, I didn't feel the need to try to prove what I believed to them. I didn't feel the need to try to change their minds. I didn't feel the like it's so amazing. This love has freed me to love other people wherever they are and where they are at. It's not my job to convince them, but I do find that when I walk in the room, what our beliefs because most of what we are really, we are so much bigger than what we can see. This body does its best job encasing our spirit.
Yeah. Right, right. It's like, I'm doing it,
I'm
I'm
like,
working
"Thank
it,
you,
but
body. Thanks
yes,
for holding up my spirit today.
yes, that's a
You're
good
doing a
job.
great job."
Yeah, it's
But
great.
I've realized, we're so much bigger than our skin.
Yeah.
And the way that we believe there, it's so truthful that when
Mm,
I walk into a room, I am imparting the essence of original identity, the
mm,
essence of union, and the essence of our triune love, man. And
mm,
it's sometimes I don't even have to open up my mouth. It
mm,
frees me from my agenda because I go in sometimes with the jail, obviously with the teaching in mind, but
mhm.
I can't tell you, you probably have the same experience. I can't tell you how many times we go off on something else, or
Oh,
I'm just sitting there loving the ladies and learning about their lives. And
yes.
I feel like the Lord is just laughing. He's like, "I love it.
Yeah,
This
it's so
connection
good.
is what I came for. This connection."
I know that happens all the time. Like I prepare because I feel like, I want to honor like the audience or whatever, like, and
Yeah.
then it's like I'll start off and then yeah, we're off and going. It's a thing. So I mean, I totally relate. I almost laugh, but I still do it because I feel that honors people and it honors
Yeah.
whatever. And there'll be something that'll be pulled out, and then most likely it'll be turned into something later. But
Yeah.
you just show up, right?
Just
You
show
show
up.
up, and you show up as this one who is loved and knows it and can share it so other people can awaken to that like
Yeah.
transcendent reality. And I was so drawn to the painting because you mentioned this, and that you have behind you these
Yeah.
dandelions that are just getting ready to poof and boof and take over. So share what, because I just think this is so much a part of kind of the message of what the revelation that you have, but that you release. So share about the symbolism of that, or however what that's speaking to you about.
Yeah, so I just feel like these are like arrowlets of innocence restored and likeness redeemed, just blowing all through the world. You could research, these are called like dream flowers, or they're even called lion's teeth.
Wow.
The dandelions that are already white like that. But think
Mm-hmm.
about it, the air, they're carried on the wind, they're carried by spirit. And honestly, it's just this message is going forth in an astounding way right now and awakening every single heart. I mean, we're
Absolutely.
in
And
one of the
it's
greatest, I
unstoppable.
feel like we're in one of the greatest times of human history. And I'm
Oh,
super glad to be awake for it and
yeah,
alive.
right. Awake and alive. And yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's unstoppable because it's
Yeah.
not like you can take any of those arrowlets of innocence and like stick it back in there. You know what I mean? They're off
Yeah.
and going and multiplying, and it is unstoppable because God will have this revelation for all of his kids. I mean, he is
Yeah.
unstoppable, but he's doing it through us, and he's doing it through the unlikely.
Yeah.
He's doing it through and he's even doing it through the likely that kind of recovered. Right?
Yeah.
The Pharisees that
Yeah.
have recovered, right? And
Yeah.
then I guess, there are times when we've all been that, right? That have recovered and are like, dang, it's not,
Yeah.
my my worth and value, my skills. I mean, it's my intrinsic worth and value, but what I bring to the table and what I'm toiling with,
Yeah.
it's going back to these really, and the thing is, a it requires some vulnerability and humility because it takes us back to the deepest part of our essence. And a lot of us, and a lot of the Pharisees are Pharisees because they also learned that they were, they were sinners, or they were, just
Yeah.
shame-based teachings. And so we don't like to go there because it's painful. But this is going back to the essence of who we are. And then at the bottom of that is the one who kisses us on the lips and tells us that I only kiss mine on the lips. He's the one that just adores us. And when you looking into that eyes of this God who just knows everything about us and
Yeah.
all the things that need to be like cleaned up or whatever, just like side things, because you're the thing. And it is unstoppable. Love truly never fails. And so if it's not shown up in the way, there are periods of my life when I'd had huge encounters with God at an early age, and I wasn't born in a Christian family. Our religion was secular humanism, but it was every bit Pharisaical and condemning and incredibly dysfunctional. And God would encounter me, and literally, I think, just to kind of preserve. And the only thing I knew is that he loved me and I loved him, right? That's the only thing I knew.
Wow.
Didn't know his name, didn't know nothing. And, woke up later on down the road. Oh, this is the one on the cross. I'd have encounters. I'd see Jesus on a crucifix. I'm like, that's the guy, right? And so I didn't
Wow.
have a theology that came later. But to me, my kind of pissed moment was I was so angry at God because I figured, if you're so good and you're so powerful, how can you let everything I care about be destroyed? And the Lord didn't didn't answer me, but I was going off doing my own thing, pursuing what I thought would give me life, which at that particular point was medicine, because I that was something I could do and I had control over. And so I kind of did that. But God had this way of just constantly being there. I have a chapter in my book called Annoying Relentless Love, because everywhere I turned around, he's like, baby, I'm here. I'm like, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to see you. Don't talk to me. And he kept on pursuing constantly. But I had to kind of get over my snit. But as as things started to unravel in my life, because of other people's bad choices, because of my crappy choices, I got to a place where I was literally having flashbacks. I just couldn't. I couldn't deal. Like, I had to have God. And so it was at that point where I really started turning my life back to him. And, and I did like a crappy sinner's prayer. I basically said, Jesus, I'll do you a favor. You can have me now.
Yeah.
And God was like, that's awesome. And we'll deal with that pride issue later. But I know, as I started to walk it out, I started to be on this journey with him. And I started to, as I started to engage with him, and start to get into this Bible that made no sense to me. I was like, what is this Lamb of God? This makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But the Lord started to heal my mind. And so when you talk about, Rachel,
Mm.
how your mind was just like so lost,
Yeah.
and I started to walk it out, but it was really this love and this ongoing pursuit that started to heal. And I did it kind of like, my idols were like, not like, were socially approved idols. They were not
Sure.
illegal idols. They,
Yeah.
it was medicine, and it was what was men, in a big way. And then it was kind of like family being the perfect, mom, and whatever. And then ministry became an idol. And I just kept on leveling different idols. And God over time was like, babe, this is just about me. Like, I
Yeah.
need to be the thing. But walking kindly, and the periods of excruciating pain, as he was like removing things, and bringing me back to the essence of my original identity.
Yeah.
So and walking it out kind of as more of a Pharisee, like doing the right things. And so I don't know if you want to launch out from that, or what you want to do with that, Rachel, but yeah, just feel free to
Well,
chime
I
in.
would love to touch on original identity because I love that so much.
Mm.
And I feel like it's our OI, I call it our OI. Because now we have artificial intelligence, we have emotional intelligence, we have spiritual intelligence, but this is our original intelligence. We are
Mm.
spirit origin. Spirit is our origin.
Yeah.
And I love that verse, man. Jeremiah 1:5. In fact, it's probably one of my go to verses in the jail because, in the jails, the ladies know the Old Testament, I would say, better than they know the New Testament. You know it?
Interesting.
And so I capitalize on
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. Like,
And so
what you
I'm
got?
like, so Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I already knew you. You've always been face to face with me. This is your actual original identity. And you know how, like you were talking about earlier, the original identity, it just, oh man, it's like an instant reprogramming, and all the
Mm.
other things just kind of fall off. They
Yeah.
just easily, effortlessly fall off as you're beholding the Son of God, Jesus. Whoa, who is God too. As you're beholding him, you begin to see your original identity as if you're
Yeah.
gazing into a mirror.
Yeah.
And man, I love that. I do. I feel like this relationship is everything. And sounds
Mm.
like we've kind of tried it all. I went the other way and tried the illegal stuff. You tried the other stuff. But when we came back, it's the relationship,
Yeah.
not the accolades, not the
Mhm.
approval of the world.
Right.
That, it's living with this. To me, the amazement is the internal relationship.
Yeah.
It's nothing there's nothing external that could complete us. And
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what he was telling Fotini, the woman at the well. You've tried all the external things,
Mm.
and here I am, and I've been living on the inside of you all along.
Yeah,
And so, man, the external stuff though, it has our attention sometimes.
it
It's
does.
the distractions of this life.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
religion, like trying to have a discussion of which mountain do you worship? Religion, right? And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm I'm the living water, right? Come drink
Yeah.
of me, right?
Yeah.
And right. And we have these and I think a lot of times when we're having these discussions with God, I don't know about you, but he doesn't always like answer me because it's the wrong question. Like I'm asking, where do we worship? And he's like, I'm living water.
Right. Right.
It's like he's not answering the question.
Yeah.
Even when I ran away from him, I said, if you're so good and so powerful, why do you let everything I care about be destroyed? He did not answer my question. He just said, baby, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is,
Oh,
kind of who he is. But yeah, it's that original identity. This is why I have that fingerprint. Right.
I
Right.
love that.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, because, one of the things that the Lord really impressed upon me is in our original design. One of the encounters that I had because I had so much shame and things like this is that He showed me as a little embryo, and he lifted, and I was feeling so much rejection and so much just dark, and He lifted me up on His finger as this little
Wow.
embryo, and He presented me before heaven,
Wow.
and heaven erupted,
Yeah.
like, this is a daughter, right? And my little tissues and everything just sank into his finger, and
Wow.
his whole fingerprint imprinted on my being.
Wow.
And literally it was this revelation that I was marked by this person of love before I was marred by anything else.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness. Wow.
Right.
That
And
is amazing.
right. And that is all of us.
Yeah.
We are imprinted with his DNA, with his love, with his passion. And
Yeah.
heaven recognizes everyone as a son of God, as a daughter of God. Heaven erupts because
Yeah.
this is, wow, this is this one, right? This is the one that I'm gazing like, you're mine. And I kiss you on the lips and I breathe my life into you, into everything that feels dead, that felt less than, that felt like I had to earn to be. Yeah, all of
Wow.
that. And it is
That's
so,
amazing.
right, so powerful. Original identity, original innocence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Original idea, that we were
Mhm.
God's idea to begin with, that we're, some people call it original instinct.
Oh, interesting.
You
I'd
know,
heard of that.
that
Love
there is
it.
nothing wrong with our design, that we
Mhm.
were thinking wrong. And, they
Mhm.
call it stinking thinking for a
Mhm.
reason.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
boy, our minds were just so far, my mind was so far gone. But it's
Yeah.
amazing the miracle of what love can do in one moment.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. Truly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of times we need this amazing theology, but it's a launching point into something that's so much deeper because the meaning of it and the encounter with it, because it's living, like God's living
Yeah.
in you, and is what literally heals the insanity, and Baxter calls it the delusions of our
The
mind, right?
delusions. Yeah.
Right. These fallen ways of being. There's lots of different ways to say it, but this is, and because he's love, he's relentless, like until it's all cleared up, back to that original design. Like he's not through. So if it's not looking like that yet, well, the story's not over yet,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's in this hot pursuit of everything that doesn't know him, that's disconnected from him in our minds,
Yeah.
that's walking in darkness, all of these things. And we cannot do it ourselves, but we're not, we're not by ourselves. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. Wow.
It
Wow.
is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So goodness, we didn't even talk about your new book. So let's go. Yes, she has a new book, and it's glorious. Let me pull up a little bit of the thing here. So it's the Agape trilogy, and you have book one here. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
there are other books that you've got coming, or how is that? But tell us about your this book and what you got planned.
Yeah, so I mean, just how we love the message of love so much. I feel like I write, it's pure love. It's
Mm.
lovey-dovey, gushy, wushy,
Oh,
lovey-dovey all the time.
yeah.
Every line I feel like is an invitation for encounter. I feel like it's union, innocence redeemed, likeness restored. It is just the gospel message, the union message, line upon line upon line. I haven't written a lot of theology in it as far as verse wise and
Mm-mm,
explanation, but
mm-mm.
it's full of theology.
Oh, it's full of theology, but it's encounter. It's like it's theology as a person, right? That just the person. I mean, man, if you want to feel swept up into
Yeah.
this adoration of God, who just is smitten, this is heady, just chock full of encounter, and oh my goodness,
Yeah.
so much humor. I love one of the things we have in common is I love language, and I love
Yeah.
turning it on its head so that we
Me
we actually
too.
have to like, okay, wait, okay, what was that?
Yeah.
Right? Because we kind of get inundated with the words. And that's why when I wrote my Marked by Love book, I didn't use God as much. I used love because people are like
Wow. Yeah.
traumatized, right, by God, or they have all sorts of weird gods or
Yeah.
whatever. But love is a person, and it literally like reflames everything. And I was so
Yeah.
amused because after the end of every chapter, I have love encounter breaks because now,
Wow.
okay, so we've had all this stuff. Now let's get down into some nitty gritty where
Yeah.
you can encounter this one who absolutely adores you and wants you to know it and operate from that place. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's just so much fun. But just tell us more about your book.
Well, I love words too, and I just love the freedom to be able to express this relationship the way that it is in me, you
Yeah.
know? And so I
Yeah.
feel like I finally have my own voice. I write like myself. I'm just expressing this love romance really and everything. And then a couple weeks ago, I call it like a divine frenzy. Like sometimes I will
Whoa.
just get so caught up in what I'm doing that I live with my sister, and she'll say, "Are you here right now?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not here right now, dude. I'm so
I'll
far
check in
gone. I'm
later.
into something and I can't come out of it yet. Just
Oh,
bear with me." And so she knows, and I kind of get like that when I'm finishing up a book. I'll be just in it for probably 2 months before I really finish it up. And I'm just gone. You probably understand what I'm
yeah. Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
but I'm not here,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to be present. And so I got that way with the Agape trilogy and every one of the books that I've written. I just kind of get off into this. I just go somewhere. Well, I found this AI music app, and I thought I'm going to put my lyrics to some songs. And so
Ooh.
I got into this thing for 2 days, and for 48 hours, I just started playing around with some of the words from my books and putting them to music. And I came up with a CD that's got 10 songs on it. That, man, it is. You want to talk about union and new covenant message music that is very
Wow.
ethereal, ecstatic, transcendent. It is the gospel message, and I can't even explain it.
Oh
But I'll
my
tell you this:
God, Rachel.
the album is called "So Loved." It's available on all music platforms
Wow.
right now. But I've tried to go back and make other songs since then, and it's like I can't do it.
Nope. That's we're done with that for the minute at least. I know it's so true.
Yeah,
It's like when
yeah,
it's done, it's done. And so yeah. And like when the grace to like because I've got a book that I've been working on for actually quite a while and I keep on leaving it and coming back. It's called Redeeming Beauty. And it's like
ooh,
it's like wow. But it's like, yeah, not now. So I mean I get it.
yeah,
It's like I'm trying to nope, not there. So we're waiting
yeah,
till it's there.
yeah.
To continue. I
I
so get
and
it.
so I feel like, for probably the next year or so, I will probably just sit back and enjoy this relationship and
Mhm.
enjoy everything. I feel like I'm supposed to take a break from writing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm supposed to take a break from a lot of things and really just come back and just be
Mhm.
present and enjoy. I'm telling you, I feel like Papa tells me all the time, enjoy my love, Rachel.
Oh.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it in
Oh,
this
wow.
lifetime.
Wow, wow, wow.
Enjoy it. We're going to spend forever
Mm.
together, but
Wow.
enjoy it now. Live now in this moment. Enjoy it. Drink it dry, drink it up, and
Mm.
live in this moment and enjoy it. And so
Wow.
that's what I'm doing. In November, I've got a women's retreat planned here in Destin where I have about 20 ladies coming in the first part of November. And then in the second part of November, I'm going to South Africa for 2 weeks with Pamela and Patrick Emery. And we're going to go spend some
Sweet.
time with Francois and Lydia. And so I'm going to get to go stay with them and visit with them and then
Wow.
go on a safari. And I'm just so excited.
Oh my god, that is, ah, dreamy.
I'm telling you,
Dreamy.
I think to myself, am I living a dream? Sometimes
Oh,
I actually have to pinch myself because I think, man, I'm
wow.
just, for one thing, I'm so happy to be alive. I
Right.
realize that I've been to the edge of life
Mhm.
as I know it and came back and lived
Mhm.
to tell about it. And then the miracle of our union and this, man, the love of the Trinity is just so, it's
Ah,
far reaching. It's so intimate. It is so personal to
yeah,
me. And so to be alive and to know our union and feel this love is, I feel like it is life. This
yeah,
is the abundant life. This
yeah,
is life
yeah.
with no decay, no hint of death, no hint of separation. It is life and life and life.
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Life and love. The love is life and the life is love. And
Yeah.
it's meant to be enjoyed. And I feel like
Mm.
sometimes we forget to enjoy it.
Joy. God, that's
I
so,
marvel over what Christ has done for all of humanity. I marvel at the love of God.
mm.
And to think what's next, I'm like, what do you mean what's
Yeah.
next? I'm not done with the marveling part. I've just discovered Christ in me, for Christ's sake. What's next? Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah, you can't top it, right? So,
You
wow.
can't. You
Wow.
can't.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Well, Rachel, where can they find you? Where can people find your resources? I'm going to check out this music. So loved, right? You said, is this what it was?
It's called So Loved,
Oh,
and you can find it on Apple Music, YouTube,
mm,
Spotify, and I post a lot of stuff on Facebook. I'm always posting pictures and quotes and just about love, and I've posted some of my music there. And I just want to say thank you so much, Catherine. This has just been so much fun getting to know you, hearing your heart, and hearing the background of your story too. And boy, the fingerprint. That is amazing. The original imprint. Whoa, the OI
oh,
original
I,
imprint.
right?
Whoa. Whoa.
Good.
Wow.
It's so good. It is so good.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Whoa. That is wild.
Woo! Yeah,
Wow.
it is. It is. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Well, we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
And wow, I can't wait to you going back and just spending time just enjoying. I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't even know the well, the reservoir, the ocean that's going to pull from as you continue to show up as Rachel in everything you do. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this time and just to get to know you and for letting me share too. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
so good. Well, it's been great. We'll have to do it again and keep in touch. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
All right, everyone, like, share, do the things. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would just help me just be able to share more. And go find Rachael and her books, her music, her postings. Wow, so much. And I'm just so looking forward to see how things continue to blossom in incredible ways. Yeah, yeah, awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rachael, again. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Perspectives with Catherine Toon. For additional information and resources, please visit catherinetoon.com.